Breaking news, everybody. This is extremely serious. NATO, the CIA, George Soros just launched a major coup on Romania. Why? Well, you'll hear all about it in today's episode right after this brief message. The leading presidential candidate, Călin Georgescu, was an underdog. No one thought he was going to win. He had no funding, and then he won the first round of presidential elections, and the second round of presidential elections was slated to take place this Sunday, and NATO, the CIA, they pressured, and the Constitutional Court in Romania, very corrupt, said the first round of elections don't count. We're canceling the elections this Sunday. It's over. Now, keep in mind, Călin Georgescu was expected to win this vote on Sunday, the second round of the election. That's why they had to do this. He was polling at 48%, high 48% to 46% for his opposition, liberal, warmongering opposition, okay? Now, this coup that is underway right now in Romania can be stopped if the Romanian people stand up. The military, they stand with Călin Georgescu in Romania, the sovereign military of Romania. It is up to you, it is up to the people to revolt against this deep state coup and fight back. You have the numbers, you have my support if I'm being honest. The only problem that these people, these peace-seeking people are going to have are the NATO troops that are already occupying their country from the United States and potentially even from abroad. This is Ukraine all over again, and the allegation is that it was Russian interference. They said Russian TikTok interference. Călin Georgescu, we have to stop your campaign. Listen, the only foreign interference in this election were the billions that were spent to elect another pro-NATO candidate to lead Romania, stripping them of their democracy. Also, we saw a private jet chartered from Fort Lauderdale in Florida in the United States leave and land in Bucharest, Romania, 40 minutes before the Constitutional Court came forward with this decision canceling the elections. Also, of course, TikTok, which is controlled by the United States and Romania, actually banned Călin Georgescu supporters. There's no collusion. This is Trump all over again, the Russian collusion hoax. It's Maidan all over again, Ukraine, stripping them of their freedom so they can send their young boys to war for NATO, for Raytheon, for the military-industrial complex, for George Soros. I hope you don't let it stand. The Romanian people need to rise up. Now listen to my full episode where I actually talk about the election. I talk about Călin Georgescu. I talk about how important this race is and what Călin Georgescu wants to bring to the people of Romania. No, he's not a Putin puppet. He is fighting for Romania's sovereignty and for one hope that we can all have in the West. Welcome back to Legitimate Targets, everybody. This is episode number 43, and today I'm going to talk to you about the number one threat to the global establishment. His name is Călin Georgescu, and he is freaking everybody out in the EU, in the United Nations, in NATO. They are losing their minds over this man who is running for the presidency of Romania. They said he had no shot to win. They said at best he's going to win 10% of the vote. Does that story sound familiar? Does it sound like a story that we heard in America not too long ago? I think so. I think so. The only difference between Donald Trump and Călin Georgescu is that where Donald Trump might pose 1% of a threat to the globalist deep state order, 3% of a threat, Călin Georgescu seeks to pose a total threat to the globalist deep state order. And why does he want to do that? Is he a puppet of Putin, as they say? Is he, some, Russian puppet? No. The answer is quite simple, and he's actually expounded upon this answer quite a bit. The answer is that he aims to serve Romania's interests. He's not serving the interests of the top 1% of Romania, the people who actually have a financial interest in maintaining this Western unipolar order. He's not serving the interests of the Romanian defense companies who are spending all their money on NATO, building up this military to, start World War III. He's not serving the interests of anybody but the 99% of Romanians. He serves God. And that's what is freaking out the globalist establishment. So we're going to talk about Călin Georgescu. And I do have to say to all of my audience members in Romania, if you know someone in Romania, I highly suggest that you vote for Călin Georgescu. And I'm not saying this as an American. I'm saying this as someone who wants the West to succeed, who wants the West to have a revitalization, who wants the West to act as a partner, as a civilization amongst other civilizations, rather than a civilization that controls all others. I want the West to understand that if we follow God, we will be victorious. We will succeed. We will be living to our highest potential. And Călin Georgescu understands that, represents that, and is willing to fight for that. Now, this is not so much of a campaign pitch for Călin Georgescu. Simply, I want to expose the truth about this man who's being so lied about in the press. Because if you look at the mainstream media right now all across the West, they're saying the most horrendous things imaginable about Călin Georgescu. They're saying half-truths, they're saying complete lies, and we're going to go through all of it and explain why it's so important to get to the bottom of this story. It's an unthinkable story, it's an underdog story, it's a story that every American should love, because again, he was polling at 10%. There's two, main parties that were expected to make their way into the runoff election in the first round of the presidential election voting in Romania. And it just so happens that not only did Călin Georgescu win or, emerge victorious in the first round of voting, he actually won it. They said you're going to get 10% of the vote, and then the two main party candidates, like in the United States, they're going to be the ones who go into the second round of voting, and Georgescu is going to be left to the side, and he won't make it into the final round of voting. But he actually defeated all of them. He won with about 23% of the vote, and the current ruling prime minister actually lost in the first round of the election voting. They tried to do a recount. They said, the results must be screwed up. We have to do a recount. Well, they did their recount. They did their investigations, and actually the vote was 100% correct. But let me explain to you why this is so important. Why Romania? What is so important about Romania for the West? Well, Romania is an extremely important NATO member state. Not only are they one of the biggest spenders in NATO on, military equipment, building up their military, but geographically, Romania is very important. They are located on the southeastern flank of NATO. It borders the Black Sea and shares borders with Ukraine, as we all know, which is currently at the center of potential World War III. Romania has also actively participated in NATO operations and missions in the past. They participated in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Libya, and in Kosovo. So, the ruling establishment in Romania really doesn't have a great track record of serving their people. In fact, they serve the interests of the warmongers in DC and the warmongers in London. They serve the interests of Wall Street and the city of London. They serve the interests, I guess, of the ruling oligarchy in Romania, who have an interest in expanding their wealth at the expense of 99% of the country. But that's about it. That's about all they've done, okay? Romania also possesses the second largest military on NATO's eastern flank, 75,000 troops compared to Poland's 122,000 troops. And the country flies F-16 combat jets, M1 Abrams main battle tanks from America. And they also aim to open one of the largest air bases in NATO. So this is the classic puppet state of the West. And it's geographically very important. And they're one of the main, money laundering schemes for the West. So the idea that someone might become president in Romania who isn't, as the mainstream media is trying to lead you on to believe. He's not saying like, we need to pull out of NATO immediately. We need to pull out of the EU. He's saying we need to come to the table as a sovereign country. We need to reintroduce Romania, have this revitalization, reintroduce Romania as a country that is in service to God and in service to our people, and come to any and all, negotiating tables in the pursuit of a fair, open, and honest bargain. Fair, open, honest trade. Fair, open, honest partnerships. And if we can't find that, we can't find that. And maybe we'll look elsewhere. But he hasn't said we're going to pull out of NATO, we're going to pull out. The Western mainstream media is trying to scare all these Romanians into thinking that, like, oh, he's a Putin puppet. Well, he's never said that. He doesn't support continuing the funding of the Ukraine proxy war, which is a great thing. Donald Trump has said that as well, and Donald Trump was just elected president of the United States, so they agree on this matter, okay? But anyways, I want to share a little bit with you about Călin Georgescu, because I think you'll find him very interesting. We talked about